Once upon a time, nestled between whispering willows and sparkling rivers, lay the kingdom of Evergreena. It was a land where flowers bloomed in every colour imaginable, and the laughter of children echoed through the cobblestone streets. But even in a place as radiant as Evergreena, shadows lurked. An ancient prophecy hung over the kingdom, whispering of a forgotten evil waiting to awaken. The king sought answers in the stars, hoping to protect his people. The queen offered prayers to the ancient spirits, seeking their guidance. And in a small cottage lived a girl who would one day change the fate of Evergreena forever. Elara, they called her, a name that suited her gentle nature. With eyes the colour of warm honey and a smile that could brighten even the cloudiest day, Elara possessed a spirit as radiant as the morning sun. She spent her days exploring the whispering woods surrounding her home, her heart filled with wonder. Unlike other girls her age, Elara found solace in the company of books. The small cottage she shared with her grandmother was filled with them, their pages filled with stories of far-off lands, daring adventures, and powerful magic. She knew that she was destined for something more than a life spent within the familiar embrace of Evergreena. Little did she know that destiny was already weaving its magic, preparing to sweep her away on a journey more incredible than any she could have ever imagined. Spring melted into summer, painting the fields of Evergreena in vibrant hues of gold and emerald. The king, his brow creased with worry, spent sleepless nights poring over ancient scrolls, searching for answers to the prophecy that haunted his dreams. The prophecy spoke of a celestial alignment, a night when the moon would bathe the kingdom in an eerie crimson light. It was on this night, the prophecy foretold, that the long-dormant evil would stir from its slumber. The king struggled to reconcile the prophecy's cryptic words with the peace that blanketed his kingdom. Word of the prophecy spread through the kingdom like wildfire. Fear began to take root in the hearts of the people, casting long shadows over their once carefree lives. Elara too felt the shift in the atmosphere, spending hours in her grandmother's library, searching for any mention of the crimson moon or the evil it might herald. As the days grew shorter and the leaves began to turn, a royal decree was issued. To honour the ancient traditions of the kingdom and to seek guidance from the stars, the king announced a grand ball would be held at the castle. The Crimson Moon Ball, it was called, a name that sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest knights. Elara, too, felt the pull of the approaching ball. She yearned to witness the grandeur of the castle, to dance beneath the shimmering chandeliers. Yet, a part of her couldn't shake off the feeling that the ball was more than just a celebration. As the day of the ball dawned, Elara found herself drawn to the ancient oak tree at the edge of the forest. A single crimson leaf detached itself from a branch high above, spiraling down to land softly at her feet. That night, as the moon cast its eerie crimson glow over Evergreena, Elara found herself standing before the imposing gates of the castle. The courtyard buzzed with activity, the air alive with the sound of music, laughter, and whispered conversations. Taking a deep breath, Elara slipped through the throng of elegantly dressed guests and made her way towards the castle's grand ballroom. The sight that greeted her took her breath away. Hundreds of candles illuminated the vast hall, their flames reflected in the polished marble floors and the glittering jewels of the guests. But Elara had no time to marvel at the splendour of her surroundings. Her gaze swept across the crowd, searching for something, someone she couldn't quite define. The mention of the Sunstone sent a jolt of electricity through Elara. She had heard tales of its power whispered around the flickering flames of the hearth. The Sunstone was more than just a legend to Elara. It was intrinsically linked to her family's past. Her grandmother would speak of Elara's ancestors, brave knights and wise sorcerers who had once guarded the Sunstone. The king believes the Sunstone is the only thing that can break the curse of the Crimson Moon. If she could find the Sunstone, perhaps she could save Evergreena from the looming darkness. The crimson leaf, a tangible symbol of her purpose, seemed to thrum with a newfound urgency. Lost in contemplation, Elara wandered through the crowded ballroom. She barely noticed as she brushed past a tall, hooded figure.
"Looking for something, young one?" a raspy voice whispered.
Elara turned to face the stranger, her hand instinctively reaching for the reassuring weight of the crimson leaf in her pocket. The peddler held out a weathered hand, revealing a collection of trinkets and curios nestled in his palm. But what drew Elara's attention was a small silver locket lying in the center of the peddler's palm.
"This locket holds a secret that can lead you to what you seek."
"What do you know of the Sunstone?" Elara asked, her voice barely above a whisper.
"The Sunstone," he repeated, his voice laced with an ancient knowing, a legend whispered on the wind, a beacon of hope in the darkest of times.
"I am not afraid," she declared. "I must find the Sunstone. The fate of Evergreena depends on it."
"Very well," he said, extending his hand towards her, the silver locket lying open in his palm. "This locket will guide you, but be warned, child, it will only reveal its secrets to one who is pure of heart and strong of will." Elara hesitated for a moment, then clasped the locket in her hand. With a newfound determination, she slipped out of the bustling ballroom and into the cool night air, heading towards the familiar embrace of the whispering woods.
The silver locket felt warm against Elara's skin as she stepped onto the familiar path leading into the whispering woods. The moonlight painted the forest floor in a mosaic of silver and shadow. The air was strangely still, as if the forest were holding its breath. The locket pulsed gently, guiding her deeper into the woods. Gnarled branches reached out like skeletal fingers. The wind whispered secrets she couldn't decipher. Elara clung to the locket, drawing strength from its weight. The path opened into a clearing bathed in an ethereal silver light. In the center lay a pool of water so still it resembled polished glass. As Elara approached, she noticed a figure standing at its edge. It was a woman with long silver hair cascading down her back. The woman turned, and Elara gasped. Her face was impossibly beautiful, like a porcelain doll's. But it was her eyes, shimmering with ancient wisdom, that held Elara captive.
"Welcome, child," the woman said, her voice a melodic whisper. "I have been expecting you."
Elara sensed she was in the presence of something ancient and powerful.
"You seek the Sunstone," the woman stated, "but the path to the Sunstone is not for the faint of heart."
"I am not afraid," Elara declared. "I am willing to face any challenge to save my kingdom."
The woman smiled, a slow, sad smile.
"Very well, child," she said. "Let the trial begin."
As the woman's words echoed through the clearing, the surface of the pool rippled, the moonlight shattering into 1,000 shimmering shards. Images, fleeting and indistinct, flashed across its surface. A towering inferno, a fearsome beast with glowing red eyes, a shadowy figure cloaked in darkness.
The prophecy is unfolding, and only the Sunstone can break its hold.
The vision ignited a fierce determination in Elara to save her kingdom.
"This feather will guide you. It is a gift from the woods, a symbol of protection and guidance."
Elara took the feather, its touch surprisingly warm and comforting against her cold fingers. As her fingers closed around it, a feeling of gratitude washed over her, a deep appreciation for the mysterious woman and the ancient magic that resonated within the clearing. She bowed her head in respect, acknowledging the weight of the gift and the task that lay ahead.
"Thank you, I will not fail you."
The woman smiled, a genuine smile this time, and for a fleeting moment, Elara saw a glimpse of her own reflection in the woman's ageless eyes. It was a fleeting connection, a recognition of shared strength and determination that transcended age and circumstance. Then, as quickly as she had appeared, the woman began to fade, her form dissolving into the moonlight that bathed the clearing. The willow trees swayed gently, their branches whispering secrets into the night air, as if bidding Elara farewell. Elara stood alone, the silence of the clearing pressing in on her. The vision of Evergreena engulfed in flames flashed before her eyes, fueling her determination. Clutching the feather tightly in one hand and the silver locket in the other, she turned and stepped onto the path leading east, ready to face whatever dangers awaited her in the heart of the Whispering Woods. The forest, which had seemed so menacing just moments before, now felt different. It was as if the woman's presence, her gift of the feather, had shifted something within Elara, awakening an ancient kinship with the woods, a sense of belonging she had never felt before. The path, illuminated by the moon, and the soft glow from the feather, led Elara deeper into the woods. She paused every few steps, her senses on high alert, listening for the snap of a twig. She heard a noise ahead, a faint splashing sound. Her hand went to the small dagger and she moved cautiously. The path opened into a small clearing, and standing by the spring was a young man. Elara hesitated, unsure whether to announce her presence or slip away unnoticed. Her instincts told her that the young man posed no threat, but caution was a virtue she had learned well in the Whispering Woods. She took a step closer, the leaves crunching softly beneath her feet.
"Who are you, and what are you doing in the woods at this hour?"
The young man turned, his hand instinctively reaching for the sword that hung at his hip. His eyes, the colour of warm chocolate, widened in surprise as he took in Elara's appearance. He relaxed slightly, his hand dropping away from the sword hilt, but a flicker of suspicion remained in his gaze.
I am Elara, and I'm on a quest.
Elara met his gaze, her own expression a mixture of apprehension and defiance. She had faced terrifying visions and navigated treacherous paths, but there was something about the young man's directness that disarmed her.
"A quest, you say? And what, pray tell, is the object of this quest?"
Elara hesitated, her fingers tightening around the feather tucked into her belt. She had no reason to trust this stranger, yet something in his demeanour, a quiet strength that mirrored her own, compelled her to confide in him.
I seek the Sunstone.
The young man's eyes widened, and for a moment, she thought she saw a flicker of recognition in their depths. He took a step closer, his gaze intense.
"The Sunstone. I too am searching for it."
Surprise flickered across Elara's face, quickly replaced by a surge of hope. The revelation that this stranger, this prince who seemed as lost and determined as she was, also sought the Sunstone felt like more than mere coincidence. It felt like destiny, a sign that she was on the right path, that she wasn't alone in this perilous quest.
You believe in the prophecy?
The prince nodded, his expression grim.
"My father, the king, he's been afflicted by a strange illness, a darkness that seems to consume him from within."
Elara's heart went out to him. She couldn't imagine the pain and helplessness he must feel, watching his father succumb to an unknown force. It mirrored her own fears for Evergreena, for the darkness that threatened to engulf her kingdom.
The healers, the court mages, none of them can explain it. They say it's like a shadow has fallen over his heart, a darkness that mirrors the prophecy of the crimson moon.
Elara listened intently, her own quest suddenly feeling intertwined with his, their fates bound by the shared goal of finding the Sunstone. She knew, with a certainty that went beyond logic, that the Sunstone held the key to both their destinies, to saving the king and protecting Evergreena from the encroaching darkness.
I was told that the Sunstone holds a power that can banish even the darkest of magic, that it's the only thing that can heal my father, that can protect our kingdoms from the prophecy.
Elara nodded, her fingers tightening around the silver locket that felt strangely warm against her skin.
The locket, it will guide us to the Sunstone.
She held out the locket, its silver surface gleaming faintly in the moonlight that filtered through the trees. The engravings now pulsed with a faint inner light, as if beckoning them forward.
What is it?
The prince stepped closer, his gaze fixed on the locket. Despite the urgency of their quest, she couldn't ignore the spark of awareness that flickered between them.
It was given to me by a mysterious peddler. He said it holds the key to finding the Sunstone.
The prince didn't scoff or dismiss her words as mere superstition. Instead, he looked at her, his gaze steady and unwavering.
Then let us hope that we are worthy of its guidance.
As he spoke, the faint light emanating from the locket intensified, spreading outwards until it bathed the clearing in a soft, silvery glow. The trees surrounding them seemed to lean in, as if the forest itself were holding its breath. Then the light coalesced, forming a single, shimmering beam that struck the base of an ancient oak tree. The bark of the tree shimmered and rippled, revealing a narrow passage concealed within its depths. Elara and the prince exchanged a look, a silent acknowledgement of the shared wonder and trepidation that thrummed between them. The hidden path, revealed by the locket's magic, beckoned them forward. With a deep breath, Elara stepped across the threshold, the prince close behind her. A single ray of sunlight illuminated a crystal pedestal in the center of the chamber, and resting on that pedestal was the Sunstone. A monstrous creature, its eyes glowing red, emerged from the darkness. This was their final test, and they would face it together.